Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically Me, featuring me. No special guest, just me. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing today? I hope you guys are having a great day, a great week, a great weekend, whatever day it is that you are viewing this. If you are new here, welcome. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm so happy to have you here. If you are not new here, then you have passed the point of no return, my friends. Maybe even consider subscribing. It would really, really mean the world to me. And to all of my subscribers, the ones that have made that commitment, you guys already know how much you mean to me. You are my reason for continuing to put out content. You are my reason for not giving up on this case. And I truly hope that every single one of you who subscribed to me because of the Nicola Bulley case stay subscribed to me when I do end up moving on from the Nicola Bulley case. Let's get on with it then. I told you in the last video, part 3, that I was about to drop a bombshell discovery on you. And I asked you that you ask yourselves whether or not you think I'm a conspiracy theorist. If you have been watching my channel for a while now, as in before the Nicola Bulley case, then you would most likely answer no. While I do look into conspiracy theories on occasion, it comes from simply following the facts. When things don't make sense, I ask questions, pure and simple. When it becomes difficult for those simple questions to get an answer, that's when I start my descent into what many people like to refer to as the rabbit hole. This case has never made any sense to me, and I'm nowhere near alone in feeling that way. If you just take a look into the comment section of all of these videos, there are far too many unanswered questions, simple questions that should have simple answers. Your opinion of me is actually irrelevant to the information that I'm about to reveal, however, and what you choose to believe after seeing the evidence contained within this video is entirely up to you. I fleetingly mentioned the word PSYOP in part 3. Admittedly, this was something I just did not believe was a possibility. But since the very first week that I began to look into this case, I've gotten countless comments and emails asking me to look into this potentially being a PSYOP. I have also been asked to look into Freemasonry, as well as the number 23 being used several times within this case. I brushed it all off for quite some time, but there were two things that I just could not let go of. One was that there were far too many coincidences the day Nicola's body was allegedly found. Too many people at the right place at the right time that lived nowhere near the location. And two, it was not treated like any of the other missing persons case in the same area. What made Nicola Bulley so much different than the hundreds of other quote-unquote missers in the Lancashire area? I put out a video about the possibility of the recovery being staged and some of the inconsistencies that were spoken during the February 15th press conference. A short time later, I was contacted by Chris, and that's where this whole project came about. So before you guys start thinking, oh geez, she's gone off the rails, keep in mind that you guys asked me to go off the rails and look into this. I did a lot of digging in several different areas. I dug into Freemasonry. I listened to several people that used to be Freemasons talk about what it was like, what it was really all about. I also viewed some military websites as well as a military podcast where a master sergeant in PSYOP explained what PSYOP is. This was from the channel 8th PSYOP group. The video was titled PSYWAR, What is a PSYOP? Allow me to tell you what the Master Sergeant said the main roles of PSYOP are, just so you have an idea. This is from this Master Sergeant, straight out of her mouth. It's the influence of others, period. Others being people, organizations, governments, etc. It is their job to find out everything possible about their target, which can be anyone. Their job is to find out their likes, their dislikes, their vulnerabilities, what persuades them to do certain things. You name it, they learn about it. And they use all of that information that they gather to their advantage to get what they want or to get the others to do what they want them to do. They target their audience and they infiltrate everything. They'll put out leaflets. They have people perform speeches. They infiltrate the media. And the new way for them to push this information out is through social media. The sky's the limit. They partner up with virtually anybody and everybody in order to complete their mission.
I just put it out there right now. The things that our PSYOP operators are doing today absolutely blows my mind. We have our tactical PSYOP. That's, our face-to-face, our on-the-ground, where you're building that rapport with your target audience. Media platforms such as television, radio, newspaper, however we can get our message out. Today, it's really started to morph a lot more into social media, right. The cyber realm, hopping on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter. Really, the sky's the limit.
Now, I've been asked whether or not I'm ever going to get to the point or drop names and quote-unquote show my hand, but I already am. The thing is, I'm showing it card by card, bit by bit, so that it's easier to swallow. It's also very important that you understand certain things before I drop certain bombs. This is a series, and it will wrap up at some point, and when it does, I trust you will have all the information that you need and that you will have been able to absorb all of that information because of the way that I'm putting it out. At least that's my goal, that is my intent. If there appear to be any omissions, like I'm leaving something out, there are valid reasons for this. And the biggest one is that it isn't time yet to expose certain things, such as why so many others linked to the Nicola Bulley case in some ways are complying with the cover-up by remaining silent and refusing to speak out. There is a time to reveal more on that. But right now, the spotlight needs to remain on the powers that be who have sanctioned it all. The information within this video will undoubtedly be the hardest to swallow so far. So I suggest you not be multitasking. I need your full attention. Please, you in the back. Yes, you. No, not you. You. Yes, please. Your full attention. By the end, I trust you will have enough to navigate through the wall of lies that's been put up to deceive you, if you do care to dig further. And I suggest that you do. But as I said, bit by bit, right? Baby steps. So let's start with asking ourselves the implications around the discovery of Nicola Bulley's body on Sunday, February 19th being faked, staged, all just one big show. Many of your heads are probably rolling. Some may have popped off like mine did at the beginning. Go find it, put it back on, because what should be going through your mind right now at this point is what corroboration there is to demonstrate this. You also need to ask why the cabinet minister, Secretary of State for the Home Department, Suella Braverman, will not ask for any corroboration, but will instead hide behind a wall of silence with those enrolled in the cover-up. The answer to that is quite simple, really, when you know that our government ministers and other high-ranking officials are just stooges to their real masters, the unseen quote-unquote they. Baffled seems to be the coined phrase used to showcase the full extent of how comprehensively deceived some of the allegedly most intelligent and educated are. You probably have read it or heard it a million times before. Scientists are baffled by this. Experts are baffled by that. Everybody seems to be baffled even though they should know everything. They're at the head of their profession. To quote Manly P. Hall, author, astrologer, mystic, and who also happens to be a 33rd degree Freemason, quote, "When the human race learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes of men. They shall then know the truth, and, more than that, they shall realize that from the beginning, truth has been in the world unrecognized," unquote. Let's talk about the day before, Saturday, February 18th. This was just another day for many of us, the start of the weekend. Can you think back to what you were doing on that Saturday? Probably not, but much nearer to St. Michael's on Wire, Saturday the 18th was a big day. For one, around 39,000 football fans gathered that afternoon to watch Everton beat Leeds United 1-0 at Goodison Park. It was also a day for disinformation journalist Mariana Spring to begin frantically writing her BBC article for publishing that very day, before continuing to tweet savagely throughout the remainder of the day. Here are those tweets, as well as her full BBC article. Feel free to pause it, read it, and keep going. In my opinion, this was simply a BBC-sponsored gaslighting stunt, which preceded the following day's performance, the staging of the discovery of Nicola Bulley's body. Mariana Spring continued the propaganda campaign on Monday the 20th with a BBC News at 6 special, complete with an exclusive interview with Oliver Fletcher. based on a video that I already put out. You don't need to guess Oliver's home address, but for those of you who didn't see that video about the lady in red, I will have you know that by 1,000,000 to 1 chance, it's none other than his father Rupert Fletcher's property on Allotment Lane in St. Michael's-on-Wye. Rupert Fletcher being the very man who furnished Lancashire Constabulary with the one and only CCTV image of the lady in red captured walking her dog on Allotment Lane that Friday morning, January 27th. What you also know from my video is that Christine, the lady in red, is a close friend of Anne Marie Fletcher, Rupert's wife. To be clear, it's my opinion that Christine hasn't got a clue as to what's really going on here. She's just another unaware pawn. Saturday the 18th was an even bigger day for certain others who were on location at the main stage. The main stage being the river alongside Rawcliffe Road. They were getting ready for a photo shoot ahead of the next day's performance. Think of it as a dress rehearsal before the big day. Why a rehearsal, you ask? Well, in order to pull off Sunday's grand finale, the key news agencies required certain material in order to ensure the audience would be well and truly conned, as is standard practice day in and day out. And that's just a further reminder to anyone who follows mainstream media. Associated Press, or AP, and Reuters are two of the 3 global news agencies that have offices in most countries of the world. They cover all areas of information and provide most of the international news printed by the world's newspapers. Mass propaganda, or what can rather be referred to as fiction, in my opinion, is centrally coordinated and distributed to manipulate most people living in what is euphemistically known as the civilized world. Now take a moment and think about it. Okay? Put to one side the idiocy of a psychic medium placing a random call at 11:36 a.m. and the near miraculous full deployment of troops arriving from Blackpool and Preston just moments later. This was made especially impressive by including a specialist drone team. Now, I say idiocy because how many phone calls do you think had been placed from people claiming to be psychic and claiming to have knowledge about where Nicola's body could be? And how many times that phone was hung up on those people for being absolute Looney Tunes? I already did a video about this, so I'm not going to talk about it again, but just ask yourself, why in the world was Jason Rothwell different from anybody else? In reality, if there had been an actual physical discovery of a body with the road leading to the remote location sealed off, as it indeed was, sometime later in the day at best, there would have been some sketchy video footage from a distance before finally the front page pictures from freelance journalists capturing the recovery of the body. The recovery of the body was more than 2 hours after the alarm was raised, so time enough for everyone to hustle and be feasible for genuine pictures to be captured, albeit from quite some distance away with a zoom lens, given the location. But this was never going to do for the fantasy that they wanted to sell people. Much more dramatic photographs were needed for their quote-unquote sorcery to have its full impact. The best way to achieve this was for certain photos to be taken beforehand and leave nothing to chance, and be sure that the news agencies could receive them in a timely fashion on Sunday for release to the puppet media outlets who started extensive reporting within the hour. By now, you guys are asking me, okay, so then how did it all go down? Well, first, you need to keep in mind that while the sought-after staged photographs could be taken quickly, there wasn't the luxury of closing that quiet country road, nor could they afford to be seen by a genuine walker out for a stroll along the nearby footpath, meaning a distraction was necessary so that the police cars in the adjacent lay-by didn't draw unnecessary attention. The National Police Air Service, or NPAS, provides all police forces with air support that fly from a network of bases, managed by the Operations Center in West Yorkshire. A couple of minutes after 3 p.m., Lancashire Constabulary requested assistance with an area search for an injured person in nearby Great Ecclestone, barely a mile up the river. Remember at the beginning when I asked you what you were doing on Saturday the 18th, and I told you that 39,000 people were gathered to watch the Everton versus Leeds football match? Well, there was a helicopter with the NPAS registration G-POLG that had been earlier requested by Merseyside police for support at the Everton versus Leeds football match. I would surmise the timing wasn't coincidental. It likely was known that once the scheduled 3 p.m. kickoff happened, this unit would be available to be redeployed. Given the fact that it arrived barely 15 minutes later to its new position, again, makes me believe this was no coincidence. Helicopter G-POLG effectively hovered above the river wire for no less than 20 minutes, and unbeknownst to the pilots, conveniently happened to make a great backdrop for a photo of Jason Rothwell and friend Marie Sanderson, as well as to keep any curious people on the ground looking upward, and less likely to think anything of a couple of police cars parked along Rawcliffe Road for 15 minutes or so. So this helicopter, G-POLG, served two distinct purposes on Saturday, February 18th. Most importantly, as a credible distraction, but also to be able to provide the illusion that the photograph of Jason Rothwell and Marie Sanderson would have been taken on the following Sunday, along with the remaining photos. As you'll observe, the road isn't closed. You can see a car disappearing out of shot in the distance. Now, it would have been a missed opportunity to not take action drone shots. And here we have a nice photo of the Specialist Tactical Operations team from back in November of 2020 with the then commissioner celebrating the introduction of their new Specialist Tactical Operations vehicle. More recently, during the illusion of a search for Nicola Bulley, the drone team were directed to continue looking for any signs of her. It's pleasing to see that the investment has been maintained in latest state-of-the-art drones. Just look at this beauty. And then we have this. What in the actual F-bomb is going on here? Well, just another staged photo on a Saturday afternoon, ready for publication on Sunday. That's what we have here. Now, I don't know if you noticed it yet, but I noticed it right away. They couldn't be bothered to even use the same drone. Not that that drone was one Lancashire police used either. Do fact check me, but I'm going to suggest that this is a DJI Mavic, small and discreet, quite ideal, as it happens, for a quick photo op. Now, if you study the background, you can see the footpath leading back to the village, with just the one lookout, doubling as a bag carrier, standing in the location. I would wager that is where the final photo you see here is taken from. This one. The trio together with the drone drawing you deep into their PSYOP. However, without a doubt, this last one is the masterpiece that triggered the greatest reaction from those capable of basic thinking. And that is of the famous Jason Rothwell standing riverside, who in his own words said, quote, "The officer asked me to go down as it happens to help him direct the helicopter's camera," unquote. And as you can see, that road is still not closed. This time, a car is heading the other way. All in all, other than the loan of Lancashire Constabulary Specialist Ford Mondeo Tactical Operations Vehicle and a regular Pugo, I don't know how to say this word, Pugo 308 Beat Patrol vehicle, which is what they use, there were no more than 6 individuals in all of whom returned for the performance the next day, joined by a few other actors. Okay, so what do you think so far? To summarize, the assertion and supporting timeline is that the small team gathered on location between 3 and 3:15 p.m. on Saturday. First, taking the riverbank shots before gathering together roadside for drone and other photos, ensuring they were all done and dusted by 3:30 p.m. Oh, and God forbid I omit to give credit to the above Rawcliffe Road images. All credit to Chris New, whom I brought up several videos ago when I first suggested that this appeared to be a staged event, which undoubtedly is the video that led Chris to email me. I had no idea at the time of making that video that my supposition had anything to back it up. It's miraculous what puzzle pieces can be pieced together when people can actually work together, isn't it? And that's why I say any channels watching this right now, if you want to share any of this information, please share it. Instead of competing against each other for being first or being right, we need to get the information out. Now, I'm going to show you what I would consider proof, but I will leave you to decide whether or not I have proven anything, as I always do. I would like for you to take a look at this photo. These are photos that you've already seen and video that you have already seen. but I'm going to ask you to look a little bit closer. Take a look at this photo compared to this video taken by Curtis Arnold, otherwise known as Curtis Media. This is where I'm going to drop another bomb on you guys. It is my opinion, based on this particular evidence, that Curtis Arnold is an actor. He is in on the entire charade, and he has been playing us all the entire time. And I fell for it myself. I even gave him major props in a video about Penny at the beginning of this case. So taking a look at this photo and taking a look at this still of this video, what do you see? What do you not see? Allegedly, this was going on at the exact same time. This photo was taken at the same time this video was taken. But how is that possible? Do you notice the difference? It's like, where's Waldo? Or those books that you find, it's like, can you notice the beach ball? You know, it's like one of those games where it's like, what's different in this picture? Just take another look. Allow me to enlighten you a bit more about Curtis Arnold. And we will most certainly talk more about Curtis throughout the remainder of this series, but you do need to learn a little bit more about Curtis before I go on. Some of you may already know because it was talked about at the beginning of this case. And let me tell you, his criminal background, I blew it off. Some people have a criminal background. When they're in their teens and 20s, they do dumb shit. It doesn't mean that as adults, they are corrupt individuals. So I did blow a lot of this off at the beginning for that reason. Anyway, let's get back to this. So back in 2010, Curtis of Shakespeare Lane in Kidderminster, and you'll see a connection to Shakespeare in a few minutes when I go really off the rails, but Curtis was caught running a red light, and he lied that his grandmother had been driving, otherwise known as perverting the course of justice, and because of this, he received a 6-month suspended prison sentence. He later managed that same year to breach the order by both drunk driving and burglary. Fast forward about a decade, and under the cover of allegedly owning or working at a barber shop in Kidderminster, he's evidently now gainfully employed as a useful asset for another organization. If you had to pinpoint when he took the leap, it would probably have been sometime before he got his hands on this spanking super hatch VW Golf with expensive private plate some years ago. With a lucrative contract and money no object, good old Curtis decided that his Super Golf, as you see here, only able to reach 155 miles per hour stock, required extra tuning by specialists back in November of 2020. However, it's now payback time, and his handlers have come to collect. It is common knowledge that Curtis's YouTube channel was set up just 2 days before Nicola Bulley went missing on January 25th. A bit sloppy by anyone's standards, but timing is everything. And to ensure the greater notoriety, the mainstream media provided Curtis much publicity back in March when they widely reported how he had been arrested on suspicion of malicious communication offenses as a result of his filming. He was subsequently banned from Lancashire and bailed until June, with bail conditions prohibiting him from sharing online content about the case or publicly discussing it. This, my friends, was all just a stunt, and it doesn't matter in the slightest whether the public perceived this as unfair or justified treatment at the hands of Lancashire police. The greater the division of opinion, the better. With people being played and manipulated to react to the perceived problem of disruptive TikTokers, the controlled media facilitating the agenda to enable our traitorous government to move toward their desired solution of banning TikTok in the UK, much of the same way they're pushing this in the US, Montana being the first US state to ban TikTok, with the app already banned for use by federal employees. There's no length that they will not go to in order to achieve their goals. It has become so simple for them to manipulate people's mental model and subjective representation of their own reality. It's mind control, pure and simple. Curtis Arnold's purpose is to deceive audiences. It doesn't matter that he contradicts the police web of lies to state that Nicola Bulley was a victim of foul play. That's the point. He needs to corral those that weren't lobotomized as an unfortunate side effects of the lockdown, wink wink, otherwise known as those faithfully believing that she went into the river by the bench, to accept nonetheless that she did end up in the river by hook or by crook, and that Sunday was a genuine discovery. It's run-of-the-mill deception. However, it can't be underestimated how important this attempt to deceive is to enable the scheming senior coroner, Dr. James Adley, to get away with a whitewash at the scheduled inquest in about, a week and a half now? 2 weeks' time? Now, allow me to give validation to those of you who have been leaving comments and emailing me about the number 23. I told you bombshells would be dropped in part 4. Many of you have brought up the number 23. The number 23 on the bench, the 23 days it took for Nicola's body to be found. I never wanted to jump down that rabbit hole. Yet, I have found myself at the bottom of it, or at least somewhere in between. Just dipping a toe in the water for now. As I've already said, I have never gone down this rabbit hole before, but I have learned a few things, thanks to Chris and his blog about ancient Egypt. Now, just bear with me. I promise you, I'm not insane. I'm just giving you the information that many of you have asked for. Okay, so like I said, I'm very new to this. I'm gonna sound like a bumbling fool, but I'm just gonna tell you what I understand. Okay, so how it goes is the goddess Isis gave birth to the divine child Horus, from where originates the all-seeing eye of Horus, the bright star of Isis, for which there's a shaft that perfectly aligns with the queen's chamber in the Great Pyramid of Giza as part of the ritual in the cosmic cycle of death and rebirth. It is said that this bright star is 23 times more luminous than the sun. The asterism of Orion's belt points to this star, Sirius, also known as the Dog Star, and as part of the constellation Canis Major, or the Great Dog. Higher secret orders considered the star Sirius to be the real sun behind the sun that keeps the spiritual world alive, controlling and giving potency to the sun itself. This association with divinity remains today with occult symbolism and secret societies. Here, NASA is overtly denoting the significance of Sirius on National Puppy Day, annually celebrated on March 23rd each year. It's believed to be the most holy day of Egypt from the past, which just by coincidence is the biggest secular public holiday observed in present-day Egypt from 1952, Revolution Day. Is it coincidence, too, that there are 23 discs in the human spine? We each possess 23 pairs of chromosomes, and the Earth's axial tilt is 23 degrees relative to its orbital plane around the sun. Now, if that doesn't do it for you, sacred geometry is exquisitely compelling. None more so than as encoded into Shakespeare's sonnets of 1609. I told you we would get to Shakespeare. Kind of ironic or coincidental that Curtis Arnold lives on Shakespeare Lane. Or is it Drive? I can't remember. William Shakespeare, who was born and died on April 23rd, was not, in fact, the Shakespeare as the popular narrative would have you believe. As shown here, I will show you a brief piece from Sonnet's Sacred Geometry. I've been getting copywritten like crazy, you guys, so any commercials that you see on my stuff, that's from the people that are claiming copyright on me. So they're getting paid for my video. Whatever. All right. This woman here bears a striking resemblance to Christine, but is obviously an actress, and this photo was taken from the 2007 film The Number 23. Also note, as if by chance, which we all know it isn't, the media frenzy to find Christine in St. Michael's occurred on February 3rd, or 2/3/23, just as the film itself leads with a scene from the same day. If by now you can't perceive that the 23 on the back of the bench and the staging of finding Nicola's body 23 days after her mysterious disappearance were all pre-planned and hold great significance for those that orchestrated this all, you'll continue to be routinely deceived. The fact that during the Sunday Rothwell farce, the media initially reported on it being dog walkers who found the body is undoubtedly a subtle reference to the great dog in association to Sirius. And it's kind of funny because when I first started doing these videos, one of the very first videos I put out, I thought to myself, why is everybody a dog walker? They're all dog walkers. When they speak about them, it's a dog walker, a dog walker, a dog walker found her phone in Willow. No, Penny was not walking her dog when she found the phone. But they're all dog walkers, and there are many other instances recorded about the number 23. Like, the list is endless, and many of you already know that. And again, if you don't know, you can go to Chris's Substack to read all of what he wrote in its entirety. I'm trying only to stick with what fits in with the Nicola Bulley case, but Chris also talks about the coronation capsule transformation, which was tweeted out on April 27th at 9:33 a.m. exactly 3 months after Nicola Bulley was discovered to be missing. And we all remember the emphasis that was put on Nicola's phone being found on the bench at precisely 9:33 a.m. I did just want to throw this in here as a little side note, because I was blown away by it. I didn't know it. That there's a little known fact about 9/11 regarding the only animal that was killed at the World Trade Center. It was none other than the canine partner to a surviving policeman, a great dog in the form of a yellow labrador by the name of, can anyone take a guess? Sirius. Yes, I'm serious. The dog's name was Sirius, and it was a yellow lab. Now, I mentioned that this dog was a yellow lab because the color yellow seems to be symbolic in this case. While ancient Egyptians worshiped the sun, which is represented by yellow or gold, as a god, the sun illuminating and providing warmth to the physical world, as mentioned in higher secret orders, associated the star Sirius with all that's divine. Could this be where all the yellow is coming from in this case? The yellow ribbons, the yellow Facebook Bring Nikki Home campaign, and the CCTV image of the woman with a pram dressed in a yellow rain jacket. It just leaves the question of, does this hold a deeper esoteric meaning, a connection with the sun? Seeing as how Jason Rothwell specifically referenced Michael Brooks in his published Facebook statement the following day before editing his name out, which again I spoke about in another video, let's finish this video with a curveball. It was 5 years ago, 2 + 3, that Michael Brooks was tragically discovered in the river 23 days after going missing one evening. Once again, with Jason Rothwell's assistance, the body of Michael Brooks was recovered. And more recently, the very strange case of Peter Baglin, who vanished one evening. His body tragically discovered a couple of months ago around a canal, some 33 + 33 days after his disappearance. Now, some of you may have observed each having 6 letters starting with B in their surname. Brooks, Baglin, Bulley. 666? Who knows? And let's not forget these fictional eyewitnesses in the Nicola Bulley case, Barlow and Bowman, or Bowman, however you want to say it. In time, there may also be an opportunity to seek justice for both of the families of Michael and Peter, both innocent victims of foul play. Take your time to absorb this. I know it's been quite the roller coaster ride. The main point remains, we must bring those in public office to account and lift the veil of their deceit. This charade must end. This is all I have for this video. I know that it was a lot. Like I said, believe what you will, but please do your own research. I have said this blew my mind when I first read it. And then when I looked into it, I mean, the rabbit hole is so deep. There's a number of rabbit holes you can go down. And it's partially why I try to steer clear of these rabbit holes. Sometimes ignorance really is bliss. And if you do decide to research some of these things that I've talked about within this video and even in this series outside of the Nicola Bulley case, be prepared to be disturbed. Proceed with caution. That's all I'm going to say. It will change the way you look at everything. I've always been the type to not go with the flow. I've always been the type to ask questions and do my own research. I've just always been that way. But there are certain things that I just did not consider to be real. I just didn't. It still blows my mind now. Like, is this real? And that's why I'm saying to you, what do you think? I will be getting part 5 out as soon as possible. Part 5 will mainly be about Sunday, February 19th, where we're going to go over the acts. Act 1 in particular, otherwise known as alarm raised of a body in the river. And after that, I have 2 more parts planned so far to come out before the inquest. Obviously, once the inquest has completed, we're going to have a lot to talk about as well. So I'm not going anywhere. Please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We need to get this out there. Do not be afraid to use your voice. So many of us see things that are wrong and we don't say anything because we feel like we're the only ones who feel that way. That is not the case. I can assure you, there are so many people out there that believe the same things that we do. And if we stand together and we keep talking about it, we will see some change. That is my hope. Maybe it's a pipe dream. I don't know. But I do know that we all have a voice. It is not just one-sided. And it cannot continue to be looked at as just one-sided anymore. So please share, talk about this, spread it around. I don't care if people want to use my stuff. Use it, because this stuff has to be known. Okay? So anyway, I'll stop rambling. Have a great rest of your day, your week, your weekend. Please be safe, healthy, happy, and most of all, be unapologetically you. Talk to you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.